Okay, hey everybody. This week we're going to look a little more at limits. I think we have this week for limits and then another week of limits, and then we'll start moving on to some other stuff like derivatives. But for limits, we're going to be looking at two different kinds. We're going to be looking at piecewise functions and rational functions. And both of these have help videos with them if you need it, if my explanation doesn't help. But let's kind of go through how this works. So this is a piecewise function, meaning it works the way the top one is for x less than or equal to 4, and it works for the bottom one when x is greater than 4. Here, it's asking for the limit as x approaches 4 from the left-hand side. So from the left-hand side means from the smaller numbers. So as x approaches 4 from the left-hand side, you would only use this top one, not the bottom one, because that would be for the right-handed limit. So if I substitute in 4, this is 10 minus 16, which is negative 6. And it doesn't, like, even if this weren't at negative 6, at x equals 4, because it's what it's approaching from the left-hand side means the answer is still negative 6. Okay, let's take a look at another version of this. Okay, cool. I was hoping we'd get this. So here, this isn't a handed limit, it's just a general limit. So you want to take a look at the value it's approaching from the left, the value it's approaching from the right. If those two values aren't the same, then the limit does not exist, which is this DNE here. So if I put in 3 for x, negative 3 squared is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 10 is 1. And if I put in 3 for x here, I get 4. So it's approaching 1 from the left, and it's approaching 4 from the right, which means the limit does not exist. All right, so there's piecewise functions. And I've split this up into 2 assignments, but I'll have them both open to you because I have to give you guys 2 grades. The other assignment is going to be about rational limits. So limits of rational functions. All right, so for these, you have to do a little bit of algebra. So in this case, we have this function here. So if you directly substitute in negative 7 to find what the value of the function is, in this case, it doesn't do anything weird, but does it? Negative 4 times negative 7 is 28, 20 minus 16 is 12. Yeah, it doesn't do anything weird, but in some cases it might. You might have a divide by 0. So there's a little bit of factoring that you can do to make your life easier here. And let's look at how we could factor this. Okay, so if I wanted to factor this, I'm going to focus on the denominator first because that's easier to factor. So I can take a 4 out of both of these, and I'm going to take it out as a negative 4 because they're both negative. So this will become negative 4 times x plus 4 in the denominator. And then in the numerator, I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 8 that add to be 2. So that's going to be positive 4 and negative 2. So x plus 4. And then x minus 2. It's a 2, not a 7. So the x plus 4's cancel out. And then I'm left with x minus 2 over 4. So x minus 2 over 4. So now if I go back and substitute in negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. And negative 9 divided by 4 is, you can either answer as a fraction or as a decimal. I'm going to do a fraction. So negative 9 divided by 4. Oh, I got it wrong. What did I do wrong? Oh, it's because it's divided by negative 4. Oh, Mr. Daft. Positive 9/4. All right. Well, just to prove to you guys that I actually do know what I'm talking about, let's look at a new problem. Okay, so let's look at this one here now. So we have this, and if we substitute 6 in directly for x, we're going to get a 0 in the denominator, which we can't have. So let's do some factoring. Now for the numerator, I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 18 and add to be negative 3. So it's x minus 6 and then x plus 3. You can't see her, but I'm looking around my cat. She's very focused on what I'm doing right now. In the denominator, it's a difference of squares. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 36 and add to be nothing since there's no middle term. And that would be 6 and negative 6. So x plus 6 and then x minus 6. So I'm going to cross out the x minus 6's, and I'm left with x plus 3 over x plus 6. Now if I directly substitute in 6, 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 plus 6 is 12. 9 divided by 12 is 3 over 4. So 3 divided by 4. And there we go. Cool. So that's your assignment for the week, is those two. I think I have them both unlocking on Monday, and then they're due on Tuesday the 14th. So yeah, hope everybody's doing okay. Keep yourself safe. Wash your hands, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.